Hi everyone. My name is Jose, and now we've gone to the last part of this presentation. And what I want to talk about is the importance of presence, right? The the presence that you have in a classroom setting is important, right? As a teacher or even as a staff member, when you encounter students, it's important because that that already starts the connection between you and the student, and it could determine whether you have a good interaction with them or a bad one, right? And and connecting it back to their activity, the 1 minute activity, that in itself is all it takes to connect the connection with your students, right? With the student that walks into the office or whatever the case may be. And with just that 1 minute, you set yourself up, right? And there's two things I want to talk about. It's three. It's high emotional support, but high emotional support by also adding high academic rigor, right? And with that, I also want to segue it to the 10-degree shift, right? So the high emotional support, I feel like that's important because when you do the 1 minute conversation with the student, it's like, okay, now I get to understand this kid, and I get to find that like connection, and we can kind of build this. It could be whatever. It could be like mentor student sort of bond. It can be friend, type of bond. And an example I want to give is me and Mr. Ramos, right, from the documentary that you guys got to see. He was my mentor. He took that 1 minute to get to know me, to build a relationship with me, right? And the way that he like applied that high academic rigor is by understanding like situations I would be put in. So sometimes in his class early in the morning, when I would first walk in, I'd fall asleep and miss some parts of the content. And instead of like assuming the worst of me and like, oh, he doesn't want to take the time to learn what I have to say, or he's rude, or whatever the case may be, he went up to me, and I still remember it. He asked me, Jose, what's your routine before you come to school? Very simple question, right? And that started that 1 minute conversation between me and him. And so I was like, huh. And I didn't take it offensively because it didn't come off that way, and he did a great job at that. And that's another important thing, is how you address, how you start the conversation, right? And so I was like, okay, well, I wake up, and well, my mom, she works in the field, so I have to get up at like 3 in the morning to go see the babysitter. And so like I kind of like mess up my little sleep schedule there. And so when I get to school, like he noticed like once he like saw that pattern, like, okay, so he goes to the babysitter in the morning. It's like, okay. And then I segued it into like other things that I do, like brush my teeth and like breakfast and all that stuff. But that's not really what he wanted. He got what he needed, but it was nice to know. But what he really wanted to know is why I was falling asleep, and he got that from that small conversation. And he was able to apply the high academic rigor by, what he would do is like, if I fell asleep in the class, he would let me sleep for that small temporary, like maybe 20 minutes, and then once I was done resting and had the energy to get back into classes, like he would let me continue. But once it was recess time, he would pull me in and be like, hey, you fell asleep today in class, so let's catch up, right? Let's make sure that you're staying on top of everything for your class. And that to me was like, wow, like instead of like giving me like some sort of like punishment for falling asleep in class, he worked around it because he took the time to understand me. And I think that's very valuable, right? And that also like overlaps with the concept of the 10-degree shift, right? Because he made small steps to get to the end goal of what a teacher would want, right? And it could also be for it would be different for a staff member, right? Maybe they come into the office, and their goal is to understand what's going on with the student, and break down whatever they need to break down, and they make their own efforts. But in connection with Mr. Ramos, his 10-degree shifts were to like first connect with the student, right? That's a 10-degree shift right there. And then what can he do now that he understands like my situation? And he just did little steps like that, which did a huge impact on me, and I know can do a huge impact on other people. And like I said, all it takes is 1 minute, right? And at the same time, all it takes is one person to impact the student. Thank you.